Hi, everybody. My name is Megan Blickman, and I'm the Senior Training Director with the Back2Blue campaign here in Pennsylvania. Welcome to your volunteer canvassing and lit drop training. Thanks so much for being here. Today, we're going to discuss why we canvass and lit drop. We'll talk through our health and safety protocols. I'll walk you through a canvass and lit drop, and then I'll share some Q&A and takeaways. We'll do a couple of things today. First, you'll complete this training and learn what you need to know about canvassing and lit dropping. Then you'll download and set up Minivan, and Minivan is the free app we use to make sure we know which voters to reach. And then you'll sign up for another shift. You'll commit to take action for Joe, Kamala, and Democrats up and down the ballot to turn PA back to blue this year. We canvass and lit drop for a lot of different reasons. First, we're able to reach some voters who we cannot otherwise contact, whether that's on text message or email. We're also able to do additional outreach to voters that we've called or texted that need an extra push. We can also share really important information about voting, where to do it, when to do it, and how to do it correctly. Our work matters so much. If someone doesn't have any contact, we know that they are the least likely to vote. Having a conversation on the phone increases their likelihood more, lit dropping even more, and finally, most likely, our best tactic is door knocking, because we know that an in-person neighbor-to-neighbor conversation right before voting is our most effective tactic to turn someone out to vote. Because we know that when we have a conversation with a voter within 10 days of voting and use the right language, we can increase their likelihood to vote. And that's been shown by research from the Analyst Institute. We'll follow several health and safety protocols for canvassing and lit dropping. First and foremost, the health and safety of our volunteers and voters is our top priority. Therefore, all safety protocols must be followed by every staff member and volunteer. To that end, you must complete today's training, as well as a volunteer health and safety acknowledgement form and questionnaire before beginning each of your canvassing or lit drop shifts. You must not have a temperature of over 100.4 degrees Fahrenheit, be experiencing any COVID or flu-like symptoms. You mustn't have been in contact with anyone who has tested positive for COVID in the past 2 weeks, and you mustn't have tested positive for COVID yourself in the past 2 weeks. If you don't meet these criteria, you're not permitted to canvass or lit drop. Please know that during your shift, everything will be contactless. Masks must be worn at all times properly over your nose and mouth. Please keep at least 6 feet of distance from others at all times. And after knocking on the door or ringing the doorbell, take at least 6 big steps back from the door. That's for our canvassers. And as far as leaving lit, please leave it on the door or on the doormat. Here's what'll happen before your canvass and lit drop shift. First, you're going to fill out your Pennsylvania in-person check-in and have your temperature taken. If you have questions while you're at the staging location or when you're out in the field, you'll be given a point of contact that you can reach out to. Here's what your shift is going to look like. First, you'll go to the correct home and you'll see it listed in the Minivan app. If you're canvassing, you'll knock on the door. If you're lit dropping, you'll just leave a piece of lit. Once you've knocked or ring the doorbell, and also know that you could use a golf ball or a small object to knock on the door. You should take 6 big steps back so that when the voter opens the door, there's proper social distance. You can wait about 30 seconds, and if no one answers the door, move on to the next house on your list in Minivan. When someone does answer, you should wave and greet them. Introduce yourself as a volunteer with the PA Democrats and confirm that you're talking to the voter that matches the name on your list. You should ask to speak with each voter who lives in the household that's on your list, and remember to maintain distancing and our health and safety protocols. You should follow the script and record responses in Minivan, but just don't read only off your phone. Make eye contact, connect with the voter, make it real. And also don't feel pressured to know every answer. That's not your job. For policy questions, refer the voter to our candidates' websites and the literature. And for questions on voting that you don't know, refer the voter to iwillvote.com/PA. Plan to spend no more than 5 minutes with any one voter. Once you finish your conversation, leave them a piece of lit and thank them for both their time and for being a voter. Here are some important do's and don'ts. Do finish your entire walk list. Use the script, but make it real. Be friendly but persistent. Maintain your social distance and wear your mask properly. Speak loudly and clearly. And of course, have fun, because what we're doing today is fun. Wave when you greet the voter, and remember that with the mask on, they can't see your smile. Please do not put literature in a mailbox. Don't be rude or get into an argument. And also don't give the voter an out, such as, do you have a minute or are you busy? Use stronger language than that. Don't make any physical contact and don't enter anyone's home. If someone that you're speaking to is hostile, leave the house, and if necessary, you should go somewhere safe. If someone asks you why the campaign is canvassing, explain that you are working to ensure that everyone in your community has a plan to vote and that we are taking safety precautions. Here's what our canvassing conversations with voters will look like. First, keep in mind that how someone can vote if they do not have a mail ballot is to go vote on election day in person. If the voter does have a mail ballot, they need to return their vote by mail ballot in person to the county elections office or to a drop box immediately. If the voter has a mail ballot and cannot take it to a drop box or county elections office, they have two options. We're really urging against them though. So first, they could go on election day and turn in their ballot at a polling location, but they must bring the full ballot package, including the secrecy envelope, the larger return envelope as well. And that package will be spoiled, and then they can vote a regular ballot on a machine. We are strongly urging against voters putting their mail ballots in the mail, and we want them to consider every single option before that. We also know that some voters may have applied to vote by mail and not yet received their ballot. These folks have three options and stress that they are all viable, especially going to your county elections office in person to request a new ballot. Voters could also wait and then they receive their mail ballot, turn it in via a Dropbox. And if they do not receive their mail ballot before 8 p.m. on November 3rd, they could go in person on election day to vote a provisional ballot. Here's what this script looks like. First, go ahead and greet them. Introduce yourself. Say that you're a volunteer with the Pennsylvania Democratic Party. Then we confirm their support. Are they supporting the 2020 Democratic candidate for president? If they're not, we politely end the conversation. But if we are, we move on and ask them to make a plan to vote. If they're voting on election day, we tell them the polls are open between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. And then we really work with them to make their plan to vote. Do they think they'll go in the morning, around lunch, in the evening? How will they get there? We remind them that if they have any questions or need help, to call our voter hotline, 1-833-PA-VOTES. They could also call that line to request a ride to the poll. On the right-hand side of the page, you can see what minivan looks like and where their polling place will be listed. If the person already has a ballot, we tell them that the time is ticking down and they really need to get it in. So as you can see, we suggest that they make a plan to return their ballot either at the county elections office or putting it in a drop box. And remember, if neither of those options, going on election day in person if you don't have a ballot or returning your vote by mail ballot in person doesn't work for them, then they can do that election day turn-in where their ballot will be spoiled and they'll be given an opportunity to vote regularly. If they don't bring their ballot and its envelopes, they'll have to vote a provisional ballot. In terms of voting by mail, we urge them to consider other options before returning their ballot. We know that these conversations are successful when you leave knowing how, when, and where the voter is going to submit their ballot. And then we always vote triple. We can make a huge impact when we ask a voter, can you think of a few people you might bring with you to vote? You also might run into a voter, like I said earlier, who has requested but not received their ballot. So remind them of their three options: going to their county elections office in person to request a new ballot, waiting and when they get their ballot to return it via a drop box ahead of 8 p.m. on the 3rd of November. And if they don't receive their ballot before 8 p.m. on the 3rd, they should go in person on election day to vote via a provisional ballot. And then if someone's already voted, we thank them for being a voter. Again, we ask them to reach out to 3 friends or family who could use a reminder today to vote. And then we sign off. You might need to use a persuasion message if you run into someone who is unsure of their support. In that case, we talk to them about about their values. We use active listening, share stories, and ask questions. You don't have to be a policy expert to persuade a voter. It's actually about connecting with someone. Pause for a minute and think about your why for being here today. Your why could look like, I'm supporting Joe, Kamala, and the Democrats because the Affordable Care Act helped my family ensure we had the money we needed to send me to college. Without it, I wouldn't be where I am today. They've always stood up for families like mine. You can use your why for persuasion. Here's what you should expect when you're in the field. If you're experiencing COVID or flu-like symptoms, you cannot canvass or lit drop. Always maintain distance and proper safety protocols. Do not put literature in the mailbox. On average, you're going to have 40 to 60 doors on your list. You need to go to every door on your list and finish it. Be sure to sync your data in Minivan as you canvass and lit drop, and also at the end of your shift, and expect to be out for about 2 hours or more. Therefore, make sure that your phone is fully charged. So here's how to use Minivan. As a reminder, Minivan is the app that we use to know which voters that you'll reach. On the app, you'll see a list of people and the addresses in the neighborhood who are supporters. This is how you'll know which voters to contact. Okay, so now is the time to get out your phone and get ready to download Minivan. If you already have it, it's great. You can download Minivan by going to the iTunes or Google Play Store and search and download Minivan. When you start reading through Minivan, you'll see that if the voter has requested their ballot or if they've already voted, that you can see it. You'll also be able to see the voters' election day polling locations, which I showed to you a minute ago. It's under details, and you can see the location here, Silverdale Borough Building, the address 100 Park Avenue West. If the voter has requested and been mailed their ballot, the voted status will read ball mail. In that case, you need to make a plan with them to return their ballot as soon as they can and make sure they fill it out correctly with the secrecy envelope and signing the voter declaration. If someone has already voted, they'll have a blue V next to their name, and voted will show up if the voter has already cast their ballot. If anyone in the household is over the age of 75, leave lit for the voter and don't door knock. Age is under the voter's name. In order to record a voter's responses, you go to the script section on the voter's page. Something that could immediately happen is maybe the voter's not home. In that situation, select I couldn't reach this contact if you don't have a conversation and choose the reason why. Please remember that if you're canvassing and someone is not home, you should never select lit dropped. Select not home. And just a helpful hint, on an iPhone, you can swipe right on the contact's name to mark them immediately as not home. If you do speak to the contact, follow the script and record the voter's response to each question. You can see them all here. Will you be supporting Joe Biden? How will you vote? Do you support the Democratic candidate for state house if there's one where you're canvassing? Be sure to triple every vote and also end every conversation with an ask to volunteer and thank their voter for their time. Here's how you'll enter data for dropping lit at a voter's home. So once you're at your home, you've left literature for them, select I couldn't reach this contact. Then select lit dropped. And remember, if you are canvassing and the voter is not home, but you do leave a piece of lit, you still mark not home. Only lit droppers should use the lit dropped response. In addition, throughout your shift and when you're canvassing and lit dropping, tap the cloud on the top right corner of the app to send your results to our database so that we can follow up on your great conversations. Syncing data is really important. You can also check your progress by clicking the 3 blue lines on the top left hand of the main menu. From there, you can select list details to check your progress. Here are the materials you'll have to help you through your shift. You'll have a Minivan guide, a volunteer canvassing and lit dropping guide, your voter protection FAQ, and PPE. You can wear your own or the campaign will provide it to you. You should ask a staff member or volunteer if you have any questions. Here are your next steps. First, confirm your canvass or lit drop shift with your local organizer. Next, when you get to the staging location, complete the health and safety questionnaire. Next, you can review any of these materials at all times at padems.com/GOTV. Thank you so much for being here and getting Pennsylvania over the finish line. Let's get to work.